All right, we're going to continue our discussion of enzymatic breakdown, enzymatic activity in the stomach. We talked over here about our lipases, and hopefully you already remember what these enzymes work on. So this is lipid over here for our lipase, and then over here for our protease, we see protein, just as a reminder, and then amylase are our carbs. But it's not just that simple. So starch. It's not just that simple. We've got more actually going on here. We talked a little bit last time about the complexities of lipid digestion and the bile activity. But what about protein? What about starch? Is that just very straightforward? Well, let's take a little look at that. Now, while the breakdown of our lipids we've gone over, and we'll actually see that starch digestion is actually relatively straightforward. We're just going to break down those starch molecules, those polysaccharides and the monosaccharides. Protein's pretty complex, and we'll see that once we denature the protein back in the stomach, remember back up here, we denature the protein with pepsin and hydrochloric acid. As we continue on, we're still going to have these long polypeptides. So when we started our journey up here in the mouth, you know, you had a great big steak, and that had some complex proteins, and we were able to break it down a little bit here in the stomach, but we didn't break it down completely. So as we continue further down into the intestinal tract, we're going to break it down even more with various different enzymes. And so let's look at some of those over there. We see that we have trypsin, enteropeptidases, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidases, elastase, collagenase, tripeptidases, dipeptidases, and aminopeptidases. And some things that happen here, just like in the stomach when we talked about pepsin being converted from pepsinogen, we'll also see similar activity in the stomach. So trypsin, for example, is going to be started off as trypsinogen. So trypsinogen is the inactive form of trypsin. And again, same reason as up here, we don't want to have all of these active proteolytic enzymes hanging out anywhere because they're going to break down the proteins of our body. And we also see that chymotrypsin will activate, and we'll continue from there. Now, some of these are pretty detailed. I'm not worried about you understanding each of those, but what I do want you to take home from this little lecture here is that protein digestion is pretty complex. So as we get older and some of this breaks down, it can be harder and harder to break some of that down. And we go all the way down, as you see there, to not only breaking down polypeptides, but specifically tripeptides, which we'll learn a protein is a peptide, has peptide bonds between its amino acids. And these amino acid chains then need to be broken down. So here's where those enzymes are going to act. These proteolytic enzymes, or these peptidases. Okay, so we're breaking those down little by little, one at a time. Again, this will start to make more sense as we complete this story in the proteins section.